Welcome to this Wood Solutions campus presentation on forest management and ecological or forest restoration. Human interaction in forest, agricultural and urban landscapes can cause degradation of their environmental characteristics, particularly their biodiversity. Forest or ecological restoration aims to sustain biodiversity through the restoration of ecosystems and habitats which have been degraded, damaged or destroyed by human intervention. Forest restoration is a component of forest management. Forest management aims to ensure that forestry practice complies with its legal obligations and is sustainable in the landscape over time. It can also progress to include the rehabilitation of parts of the landscape degraded by past practice. Forest restoration processes are used to enhance biodiversity by repairing damaged landscapes and actively restoring destroyed environments. Forest restoration is also used to balance the biodiversity impacts of production forestry, particularly plantation forestry. Forest certification standards can often require forest managers to establish and maintain landscapes that reinforce local biodiversity, provides habitat for animals and plants, and offsets the impacts of human interactions. This means that while timber resources are commercially grown and harvested in plantations in some areas, nearby areas are restored to reinforce the health of the local ecosystem. Biodiversity is the important and desirable variety of plants and animals found in an ecosystem. Biodiversity preservation is an important goal of national environment and forestry policy. Historically, forests have been heavily modified or cleared for urban development, for agricultural production, or for other human activity. Globally, there is at least 2 billion hectares of degraded forests. This has negative impacts on global and local climates, biodiversity, other ecological services such as water quality and erosion control, and carbon sequestration in the landscape. This image shows just a part of the impact of forest removal on biodiversity. This is the only tree in hundreds of metres of cropping land. It's only survived because it's on the shoulder of the road and protected by a fence. Removal of tree cover on farmland increases the risk of large-scale soil erosion and can severely impact water quality in creeks and rivers. Soil washes away and rivers fill with silt. This landscape also sequesters very little carbon. The act of removing the trees adds to national greenhouse gas emissions. While these impacts are significant, forest and ecological restoration can help reverse them. Forest restoration is undertaken with the intention that the restored forest landscape will act as functioning habitat for trees and animals indefinitely. Unlike trees grown in plantations, the purpose of plantings here is to restore the landscape and foster biodiversity. They are not intended for the later harvest of logs for fibre or wood products. Restoration plantings also have the potential of generating economic benefits through future markets in carbon and biodiversity credits. The restoration of forest ecosystems can conserve our current biodiversity through securing endangered tree species as well as the animals which call them home. Restore damaged landscapes by connecting and reconstructing animal habitats across a landscape. It can also improve water quality and reduce erosion, and in the long term, sequester carbon and help mitigate climate change. In summary, forest restoration aims to sustain biodiversity by restoring ecosystems and habitats degraded, damaged or destroyed by human intervention. As a component of forest management, it can also be used to balance the biodiversity impacts of production forestry. Biodiversity is the important and desirable variety of plants and animals found in an ecosystem. Historically, forests have been heavily modified or cleared for agricultural production or other human activity. This has negative impacts on global and local climates, biodiversity, other ecological services and carbon sequestration. Forest restoration can help reverse these impacts. And it occurs with the intention that the restored forest landscape will act as functioning habitats and improve biodiversity outcomes indefinitely.